the Heisman Trophy. This is the most prestigious individual award in college football given to the nation's top player annually. Although it's sort of devolved into a quarterback award with the rare non-quarterback winning it from time to time, but regardless, what I've always found fascinating was just how few Heisman winners during the 2000s actually became good NFL players. In fact, just 2 of the 10 Heisman winners from 2000 to 2009 ever made a Pro Bowl. And this trend of Heisman winners struggling is something I went over in the ranking video I did on the subject a few years back. However, this trend completely reversed in the 2010s.
Newton bends low, takes the snap, short drop, hits the quarterback draw. Somersault for the touchdown!
Oh my goodness, the legend just goes on!
From 2010 to 2019, we saw some of the most fantastically unique Heisman Trophy winners have tons of success in the NFL. Some have gone on to win MVPs, others struggled mightily, and there have even been a few who have teamed up in the NFL. In today's video, we will go over each one of these Heisman Trophy winners from the 2010s and rank them on a tier list based on their NFL success. Now, these Heisman winners all excelled on offense, but we all know the saying, defense wins championships. It's important to have a solid defense in all aspects of life, which is why I'm excited to partner with today's video sponsor, DuckDuckGo, to try Privacy Pro. Privacy Pro is a 3-in-1 subscription service, including a VPN, that helps protect your personal info from being exploited by hackers, scammers, and privacy-invasive companies. As for the brand itself, I got the peace of mind that I could trust DuckDuckGo when I saw its browser already had thousands of 5-star reviews. Okay, let's start with the DuckDuckGo VPN. It's super easy to set up with just one click. It secures your Wi-Fi connection anytime, anywhere, across your entire device, on up to 5 devices at once, and it hides your device location and IP address from the sites you visit, so you can browse, game, and shop online with an extra layer of protection. For most of us, seeing our name and address online is deeply concerning. Privacy Pro helps find and remove that info on desktop devices, and it rescans regularly, taking steps to keep it removed. Boom. Problem solved. Also, it includes identity theft restoration, a service that will help restore your identity if it gets stolen with 24/7 assistance. And it helps replace lost wallet items like bank cards or your driver's license. Try Privacy Pro free for 7 days by going to duckduckgo.com/KTO, then pay $9.99 per month or sign up to an annual subscription for $99.99. And save 16%, or the equivalent of 2 months free over the course of a year. 2010. In 2010, Cam Newton stole the show in college football. After transferring from Blinn Junior College, his lone season at Auburn immediately rose him to the ranks of the greatest college football players ever. Whether he was trucking linebackers or coming back against Alabama down 24 points, Newton was the runaway winner of the Heisman Trophy, and he went on to lead Auburn to a national title. In the 2011 NFL Draft, Newton was selected #1 overall. To that point, there had never been a player like him, and he showed off his insane potential immediately.
Cam is a force of nature. He doesn't fit the mold of, what people would say is the typical, drop back Tom Brady, Peyton Manning.
He won Rookie of the Year in a season where he put up around 4,700 total yards and 35 touchdowns. From there, Newton became one of the biggest stars in the league, but he was inconsistent. He continued to maintain his effectiveness as a runner, but routinely produced one of the lower completion percentages in the league.
They had the #2 rushing attack in football, but they were the 24th ranked passing attack. When I think quarterback, I'm thinking your ability to fling that football.
Regardless of efficiency, it was always clear that Newton was a freak of nature and had potential to play at a high level. In 2015, that potential was realized as he put up 45 total touchdowns in an MVP season. The Panthers went 15-1, in large part due to Newton's dominance, and they steamrolled their way to a Super Bowl appearance. Now, as special as that season was, everyone remembers what happened in the Super Bowl.
I should have jumped on the fumble.
Okay.
Straight up, that wasn't Super Bowl energy. And I think that is what hurts the most. It's like, you don't get an opportunity to go back. It's not promised for you to go back.
And after that moment, Cam was never the same. His passing numbers dipped dramatically in 2016, and he started to get constantly banged up year after year, in large part due to the way he played the game. Throughout his first stint in Carolina, they never had 2 winning seasons in a row. They literally flip-flopped from good to bad every year. Then his lone season in New England was forgettable, and his return to Carolina in 2021, outside of this moment, was also forgettable. His run on top was short-lived, but he was still a 3-time Pro Bowler, the Rookie of the Year, had a Super Bowl appearance, and an MVP to his name. For his ranking, he lands in A tier. 2011. Throughout the 2000s, Baylor had been a bad football program. Then they got good out of nowhere in 2011 because of this guy. RG3 was a machine that year. He was one of the most efficient passers in college football, and on top of that, he had serious speed, making him yet another prototype player in the new wave of dual threat quarterbacks. At the end of the season, RG3 narrowly beat out Andrew Luck for the Heisman Trophy. After going second overall in the 2012 NFL Draft, RG3 was immediately effective as a dual threat. He made plays through the air while also tacking on 800 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground, as he went on to win Rookie of the Year.
When you go back and you look at the first game, anyone who plays RG3 for the first time, even in going back to college, they always underestimate how fast he is, how quickly he can get to the edge, how quickly he gets rid of the ball.
But after that devastating injury in the playoffs, RG3 was never the same. They tried to rebuild him into more of a pocket quarterback with less movement and runs, and it just wasn't working.
They wanted to make Robert a drop-back quarterback, and he's not a drop-back quarterback. It takes time. He just thought the transition was going to be very easy, and it's not very easy, especially when you never ran that type of offense in college.
Plus, with the change in coaching staff, and with how backup Kirk Cousins had looked, the new coaches bailed on RG3 after his rough injury-riddled 2014 season. From that point, RG3 never started more than 5 games in a season. He ended up spending more time on the scout team as a safety in 2015 compared to playing, and was mostly a backup from that point on. It's sad thinking back on how awesome RG3 was as a rookie, and then what happened following that year. For the 2011 Heisman Trophy winner, he lands in D tier. 2012. That season, no one lit up college football like Johnny Football. The freshman sensation dazzled fans everywhere with his draw-it-up-in-the-dirt style of play, which helped him produce 47 total touchdowns and become the first freshman to ever win the award. Johnny Manziel would go on to play one more season at A&M before entering the NFL Draft. Prior to the 2014 NFL Draft, Manziel became one of the most polarizing athletes in pre-draft history.
I find him to be reckless as a player, and that is very disturbing when you transition to the National Football League.
He's going to be a franchise player. He's going to be a star. He will make Pro Bowls.
He ultimately landed in Cleveland, going 22nd overall. But rather quickly, things turned into a disaster. His first start saw him throw for 80 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in a 30-0 blowout loss. In a recent documentary, Manziel admitted to watching absolutely 0 film when he was with the Browns.
Your quarterback won't commit to watching tape? That is discouraging. It's hard to wrap your brain around.
Which was pretty evident if you watched any of his games. From horrible play on the field, to entering rehab, to wearing disguises in Vegas when he was supposed to be on the team's sideline, Manziel was out of Cleveland after 2 seasons and never got another chance to play in the NFL. No surprises here, Manziel lands in F tier. 2013. After seeing the first freshman to ever win the Heisman in 2012, it happened again the following season. Jamus Winston took the college football world by storm when he led Florida State to a 14-0 record and a last-minute national championship victory. He ended up winning the Heisman by a landslide. As a player, he wasn't the runner the previous winners had been, but when it came to throwing the ball, he was easily the most talented. After the 2014 season, Winston was selected number 1 overall in the 2015 NFL Draft by Tampa Bay. His pro career got off to a rough start, throwing a pick-6 on his first career throw. But despite that play, Winston had an excellent rookie season, becoming the 3rd rookie to pass for over 4,000 yards.
He has that thing about him, and I'm going to bet on him long term.
He was named to the All-Rookie team and made the Pro Bowl as an alternate.
That's a W. That's E1.
However, after that point, Winston never really took the next step. His turnovers killed his game year in and out. Entering the 2019 season, Winston was viewed as a bottom-half quarterback, somewhere around the 20th best starter in the NFL. Then, that's when his infamous season happened, where he threw for over 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, and an unreal 30 interceptions.
He's the #1 overall pick. This is his 4th year. He's being yanked from the game based on performance. People, that's what's known as a bust.
That was the most picks thrown in a season since 1980. The Bucs didn't hesitate to take their chance on getting Tom Brady following the season, which was successful. And since then, Winston has primarily served as a backup.
Where is Jamus Winston going to end up? I really don't know.
I saw Winston described by NFL.com this way. Winston strikes a truly singular balance between dazzling and horrifying play. So for having 5 years as a average to slightly below average starting quarterback and now a backup career, Winston lands in C tier. 2014. Going into that season, Oregon's offense had been flashy and explosive for years, but no one had ran it at the same level of dominance like Marcus Mariota. In 2014, Mariota was poised in the pocket, always made the right reads, and was a step faster than everyone. He was the complete package and helped lead Oregon to a national championship appearance on the back of his 57 total touchdowns. Mariota won the Heisman by a landslide. After that successful 2014 season, Mariota went 2nd overall in the 2015 NFL Draft to the Tennessee Titans. His rookie season was a mixed bag. Then the following year was the high point of his career. Mariota ranked 10th in quarterback rating with 26 touchdowns to 9 interceptions as he helped Tennessee achieve a winning record. Following 2016 though, Mariota took a step back. He was never that effective as a runner as we initially thought he would be, and he wasn't super effective from the pocket either. Despite Tennessee making the playoffs in 2017, Mariota threw more picks than touchdowns that season.
Mariota's looking right at the guy, letting the whole defense know what's going to happen, and then well, what do you think is going to happen?
He did lead an awesome comeback in the wild card against the Chiefs, where he caught his own pass for a touchdown, but it was clear that he was limited as a pro. Mariota was eventually benched in favor of Ryan Tannehill, who proved to be a much more effective quarterback in the system they ran, leading the Titans all the way to the AFC Championship. Since then, Mariota has been a journeyman backup, where he started one more season in 2022 in Atlanta, which was pretty underwhelming. Like Winston, Mariota was average at best, and mostly a low-end starter for most of his starting career. Also like Winston, Mariota lands in C tier. 2015. For the first time in the 2010s, the Heisman winner was not a quarterback. Instead, it was Alabama running back Derrick Henry. Henry was always effective during his college career, but in 2015, he was no longer splitting carries. The show was all on him, and he delivered. On a mind-boggling 396 carries, Henry rushed for over 2,200 yards and 28 touchdowns. After taking home the Heisman, Henry ended up literally carrying Alabama to a national championship victory over Clemson with 158 yards and 3 touchdowns on 36 carries. Following the season, Henry was drafted in the 2nd round by Tennessee, coincidentally the same team as the previous Heisman winner. At first, Henry was the backup to DeMarco Murray. He was thought of as a decent number 2 during his first 2 seasons, but after breaking off that 99-yard run in 2018, it felt like Henry's career changed overnight.
We have an all-time leader now, the new clubhouse leader in playoff soul stealing. His name is Derrick Henry.
He went on to have his first 1,000-yard season, and only got better from there. In 2019, he led the league in attempts, yards, and touchdowns. Then in 2020, he topped that, reaching the rare 2,000-yard rushing season, marking just the 8th time in NFL history it had ever happened. By this point, the NFL world had accepted that Henry was the best back in the NFL.
When you're running up to a dude that looks like Derrick Henry, you're thinking to yourself, okay, how am I going to make this happen? 1, he jumps over you and falls. 2, you clip a leg and he trips up.
He combined his freakish size with speed that doesn't make sense for a guy that big. We have literally never seen a guy like him, and to this day, he continues to be one of the best backs in pro football. After a few more dominant years in Tennessee, he is now balling out in Baltimore, currently on pace to finish just under 2,000 yards. He also recently surpassed the 10,000-yard barrier, and will probably have 100 career rushing touchdowns by the time you see this. As a for sure Hall of Famer, Henry lands in S tier. 2016. In a decade of dynamic quarterbacks, the most explosive and gifted athlete of all of them to this point, took over college football in 2016. Lamar Jackson at Louisville was a cheat code. He was the fastest and most elusive quarterback we had seen since Michael Vick, and he torched defenses week in and week out, throwing for 30 touchdowns and rushing for over 1,500 yards and 21 touchdowns. He went on to beat out Deshaun Watson for the Heisman Trophy. After another impressive college season the following year, Lamar was drafted at the end of the first round of the 2018 NFL Draft by the Ravens. No one doubted his ability as a runner, but there were many skeptics when it came to his ability as a passer. Well, after starting 7 games at the end of his rookie season, Lamar took the NFL by storm in 2019. The Ravens had completely revamped their offense around Lamar's skill set, and no one could stop it in the regular season.
This is transcendent talent that we've never seen before.
He led the league in touchdown passes and QBR, as well as rushing for over 1,200 yards on his way to being voted the unanimous MVP. Unfortunately, Lamar's incredible season was put to sleep in their first playoff game, which was the second one and done for the Ravens in a row, which made people begin to wonder if Lamar's game just didn't translate to the playoffs. From that point on, Lamar continued to cement himself as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, although injuries did prevent him from playing at the end of the 2021 season as well as the end of the 2022 season. But Lamar returned to form in 2023, with another MVP to add to his resume as the Ravens went 13-3 with him as the starter. Funny enough, his first MVP is viewed as one of the most impressive ever, while his second is viewed as one of the weakest ever. But regardless, after losing again in the playoffs in 2023, Lamar has yet to shake the narrative surrounding his postseason play. It's the one part of his career that has haunted him to this point. He is still only 27, so he most likely has a few more years in his prime. To this point, Lamar Jackson has been a top 3 to 5 quarterback most of his starting career. He lands in S tier alongside Derrick Henry. Talk about the perfect pairing with these two in Baltimore. 2017. That season, there was no college football story crazier than that of Baker Mayfield's. The 2-time walk-on had constantly overcome the odds throughout his college career, which had reached its peak in his final season at Oklahoma. With just under 5,000 total yards and 48 touchdowns, Baker took home the Heisman by a landslide. In the 2018 NFL Draft, Baker was drafted number 1 overall by the Cleveland Browns. And much like his college career, his pro career has been a roller coaster. As a rookie, Baker stepped in for the injured Tyrod Taylor in Week 3 and never looked back, finishing the season with the rookie record for touchdown passes in a season. But as fast as Cleveland was ready to anoint him as the savior, he regressed in 2019 under Freddie Kitchens. Then under his third head coach in 3 years, Baker found his groove once again, putting up solid numbers and helping Cleveland win their first playoff game in decades. To this point, he was viewed as a top 12 quarterback. But after a rough 2021 season full of injuries and poor play, Baker's relationship with the Browns reached a breaking point. Then it looked like his career was on the ropes after a rough stint in Carolina.
What percentage of the blame does Baker Mayfield deserve here?
A lot more than my partner gonna give him, but I'm gonna give him a heap of it. I'm gonna load it up on it. I'm gonna make it like Thanksgiving. I'm gonna give him second helpings.
But lo and behold, Baker saved his career with a heroic performance just days after signing with the Rams. This earned him the chance to start for Tampa the following season, where Baker achieved his first Pro Bowl honors and a big payday. Now, he's in the midst of his best season, and he looks like a viable, above-average starter in the NFL. For what Baker has been able to accomplish in the pros, he lands in B tier. 2018. For the second year in a row, an Oklahoma quarterback took center stage of college football and went on to win the Heisman Trophy. This time around, it was Kyler Murray. As one of the most unique players to ever play the position, Murray's skill set was unlike anything we had ever really seen. Despite standing under 5'10", Murray's elite arm talent and remarkable quickness were impossible to defend against. He put up over 5,300 total yards and 54 touchdowns in 2018, beating out Tua for the Heisman. The following year, Murray went number 1 in the draft to the Arizona Cardinals, becoming the shortest quarterback ever drafted in the first round. Right away, Murray's talent was apparent, putting up solid passing and rushing numbers as he went on to win Rookie of the Year. The following season, Murray established himself as a top 10 NFL quarterback, as he had over 4,700 total yards and 37 total touchdowns. This helped him achieve his first Pro Bowl, which turned into 2 Pro Bowls after the following season.
We've seen him fling the football. He's got the arm strength. He can make all the requisite throws. All right, he certainly can scramble. He can make things happen with his feet. You put the right weapons around him, I think the brother can make some things happen.
For the first half of 2021, Murray looked like an MVP-level player before getting injured and struggling when he came back. Ever since that late season collapse in 2021, things haven't really been the same. Murray has dealt with injuries and has regressed in his play. Now, to be fair, he has bounced back in 2024 as he's putting up some of the best numbers in his career. Murray's ranking amongst other NFL quarterbacks has varied throughout his career, from a top 8-ish level guy to around the 16th to 18th best quarterback in the league today. As a talent, there's no question about how good this guy is, as he will make incredible plays from time to time. But questions about his dedication to the game and whether or not you can build around his sort of chaotic skill set are at the forefront of the conversation surrounding Murray.
We've seen here really 3 years in a row where the offense has sputtered out, he sputters out. Like you said yesterday, we were talking about the Rams playoff game. You went, he couldn't run a lick in that game.
For where he ranks, I think he also lands next to the other former OU quarterback in B tier. 2019. For the final Heisman winner of the 2010s, we have the most productive college player of all of them, Joe Burrow. After throwing 60 touchdowns and helping LSU dominate everybody, Burrow went from a decent college quarterback the year before to the projected #1 overall pick. He's also proof that some Heisman voters should get their voting privileges revoked, because Burrow should have unanimously had all the first place votes. After going #1 overall to the Bengals, Burrow quickly showed off his potential as a rookie before tearing his ACL and MCL in his left knee. The following year, Burrow's potential was realized when he ranked out as one of the top quarterbacks in the league statistically and led Cincinnati to a Super Bowl appearance. He was viewed as a top 6 level quarterback by this point and continued that level of play the following season as he threw for over 30 touchdowns with a 100 QB rating once again, as well as leading the Bengals to another AFC Championship appearance. Despite the team's struggles in 2024, he still looks like a top 5 level quarterback, as through 10 games, he's currently 3rd in the NFL in QB rating, and through 5 seasons, he's on pace to set the all-time NFL record for completion percentage. The biggest question about this guy is centered around health, which, if he can find a way to overcome, he should continue to find success. For his current accomplishments, he lands in A tier next to Cam. So all in all, most of the Heisman winners from the 2010s have been successful in the pros, which has been a nice trend to see compared to what we saw in the 2000s. How will the Heisman winners from this next decade turn out? Well, at least the 2023 Heisman winner looks like the real deal.
This one is launched from McLaurin.